Hi, Dr. Albert. Good afternoon from Indonesia. Albert.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's start uh, to the main session. The moderator, I will invite Bapak Abdul Wafi to lead the screen. And today we have 5 more international speakers. I mean, keynote speaker. The first, Dr. Atul Patil from School of Holistic Development, MIT Art, Design and Technology, University India. And then we have Dr. Albert Karis Bulawat from Nueva Ecija University, Philippines. And Dr. Mikhail Baron, the founder Baron Consulting Australia. And the last one, we have Dr. Gul El Kurbairam from University of Sinop, Turkey, and Dr. Luis Miguel Cardoso from University of Lisbon, Portugal. Bapak Abdul Wafi, the screen
Yes. Hello.
is yours.
Is it audible?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, good. Well, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome again. Good afternoon for from Indonesia. I mean, from this is the location is in Madura Island, East Java, Indonesia. Now it is about 12:16. So it is 1 hour before Bang Andi's time, right? With waktu Indonesia Tengah, and I have waktu Indonesia Barat. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, so allow me to welcome you all to our second international conference on education, technology, and social sciences. ICETSS, organized by Patula Palalo Foundation in collaboration with the Nation Shelter Care volunteers and also some of universities around Indonesia. And the theme for this lovely conference is multidisciplinary approaches to research. Ladies and gentlemen, for my part, I have three keynote speakers. The first is Dr. Atul Patil from School of Holistic Development, MIT Art Design and Technology University, India. The second, we have Dr. Albert Kadis Pulawat from Nueva Ecija University, Philippines. And the last is Dr. Michael Barron, founder of Barron Consulting, Australia. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's start our conference for today, Sunday, 17th of July 2022, with our first keynote speaker, Dr. Atul Patil. Hello, doctor. Are you here?
The first is Professor Albert. After Professor Albert, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the next. Dr. Albert Hadis Pulawat from Nueva Ecija University, Philippines. Hello, Dr. Albert.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's really audible. Thank you very much. Yeah. We met again virtually, and I'm so happy to meet you again. I'm so anxious to enjoy your session, and surely you're going to be talking about, is it about language education for general?
I'll be talking about distance learning, sir, since we are all shifting.
Distance learning.
Yes.
Okay. So surely you're going to talk about distance learning in Philippines, right?
We can adapt it both in the Philippines and Indonesia, sir.
Oh, that's great. So surely the audiences will get a comprehensive understanding related to distance learning between Indonesia and also Philippines.
I hope
Ladies
so,
and gentlemen, without further ado, Dr. Albert is going to be talking about distance learning. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sir Abdul. Can you now see my screen?
Yes. Wow.
Right.
Yes, that's very clear.
So good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see you again virtually. And for this afternoon, let me share with you some sort of reflections and concepts regarding distance learning. And we have my topic, connect, disconnect, connect. Let us see what connects us, what disconnects us, and what connects us further in this new form of education. Now we have the objectives, that is to identify the common challenges that we have in the Philippines, in Indonesia, and all around the world. And we have to recognize practical solutions and essential strategies to address some challenges in an online distance learning. And if we may, share insights on the topics presented. Allow me to start with this quotation that says, what words can we associate, what words can, no, not this is not a quotation, but a question rather. If I ask you what words can we associate with this, with online distance learning as a learning modality, I'm not going to ask you anymore, but let's reflect on this and let's think about this one. But when I gave this talk in the last year, here in the Philippines, most of the words they associated with distance learning is that it is difficult and complex. Some said it's exciting, but most of the participants said it's going to be complex and difficult. I know, I'm not sure if this is quite the same with you in Indonesia, but I believe so, given our similarities, no? Our former Deputy Secretary or Department of Education Secretary says that despite the pandemic, education must continue. And this is true, be it in the Philippines, in Indonesia, and all around the world, because education did not stop. Despite the pandemic, we continued, we persevered, we thrived, no? We gave so much effort only to continue the education and not to suspend or hinder or stop our students in achieving their dreams through education. Now let's begin with the connect, no? Learning delivery modalities under the new normal. What can we use and what can we do in order to continue and keep connected and be abreast in this new normal education? We have several learning modalities. Please tell me through the chat box, what modality are you using there in Indonesia? We have the traditional face-to-face learning, where in the Philippines, I do not know if this is true in your country, but in the Philippines, we have several modalities under traditional face-to-face learning. We have modified shifting or MSc, modified shifting of classes, where the students would attend classes by shift. They have the morning shift, the afternoon shift, the evening shift. Only that so that they would not be interacting with each other, because we limit the number of students in school, no? Shifting of classes with dyadic teaching, where students would undergo series of activities after the teaching learning process, and usually this is done by 2 teachers. And then we have the ESM, or the focus teaching, for the junior high school, where the focus of instruction in a traditional setting is English, science, mathematics. And for the elementary, we have the RESM, where they only be attending online face-to-face classes, and the subjects are reading, English, science, and mathematics. And then we have the core specialized focus teaching, where students will be attending their classes, especially for some core subjects only. And then we have distance learning, no? We have the modular distance learning, where they are using module. In the Philippines, we have 2 kinds of modular modality. We have the digital module and the printed modules. In the digital modules are sent to the students in soft file. And then for the printed one, we print them out and then we give them to our students. And we have the online distance learning. I think this is what we apply both in the Philippines and Indonesia. And we have the TV and the radio-based instruction. And then we have the blended learning, wherein we combine face-to-face and the online learning, no? And then the homeschooling, wherein the students would only be attending classes at home. The teachers would come home, go to the child's home, and then do the instructions there. That's homeschooling. For the remote learning, and we also have e-learning, we have to understand that these 2 are different, although they sometimes overlap, no? For remote learning, this concept is more about distance between the student and the teacher and how technology bridges the gap, which means that in remote learning, the reason why we do remote learning is because of the distance. There is a distance that which is augmented by technology. So the child can still attend classes wherever they are. And for the e-learning is a style of learning. Distance doesn't matter for e-learning. You can have e-learning even though you are attending face-to-face classes. For instance, you send your materials and references through online, or your students would submit their requirements online. So that remains e-learning. It doesn't matter if you are in a traditional setting or in an online learning or in a remote learning. So long as you are using technology, you are making e-learning classroom in a traditional or face-to-face setting, and in an online learning, that would be fine. Now, what interactions occur in online distance learning? I think you have to reflect on this, because interaction is really a must in education. This does not only establish good rapport between children and the parent, or parent and the teacher. This also enhances the kind of learning that the students get, no? Because this involves communication, and communication is very important. Let us remember that. We have learner-instructor, wherein there must be an interaction between the learner and the teacher. It is very important because as teacher, we do not only teach lessons, we do not only teach concepts, we only teach values. So it's very important that we get to be connected to our students. We also have learner and learner interaction, where the students have to work with their classmates collaboratively and cooperatively, no? Because students should be taught how to deal with other people, and that begins with No, that really begin, but that extends with their kind of relationship with their classmates. No, that also enhances learning and the learner and the content interaction. How well the students can engage themselves in the teaching learning process, particularly with the content, because students must relate to the content that you are providing them in order for them to have a meaningful learning experience. And for the distance learning, we have the synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous takes place when we have interactions, even though we do it remotely or online, there remains an interaction. We get to be communicated on time and real time. That is synchronous. And for the asynchronous, this means that students access materials and resources online without real-time and online interaction with their classmates and the teacher. That's asynchronous. In the Philippines, we adapt the two. No, we do synchronous classes and asynchronous classes. Now, we set particular days on when to do synchronous classes and asynchronous classes. I hope that also happens in Indonesia. I know that you are very well advanced. No, and who are the key players in an online distance learning? Of course, the students. The students are always the center of the educative process. No, that's why whatever we do, it's always for the students. And then we have the teachers also, the curriculum implementers. We call them the curriculum implementers. Without the teacher, there can be no learning. Teachers are very important. Always remember, technology cannot replace teachers, but teachers who know how to use technology can replace teachers who do not. That's why it's very important that as teachers, we also teach ourselves and equip ourselves with technological advances that we have nowadays. No, also the support staff. The school cannot operate alone with teachers alone or with the administrators alone. There must be support staff, the librarian, the registrar. All of them are important key players in face-to-face or even in distance learning. And then the administrators, okay? The one who manages the school, the one who maneuvers the school towards a more successful and efficient operation. So all these play important roles, no, in the educative process, be it in traditional setting or online distance learning. Now let's try to know what disconnects us. What are the challenges that we encounter in online distance learning? If I ask you what is your main concern or problem or issue or challenge or perception regarding online distance learning, I know you can mention a lot. You can mention a lot because we do have a lot of problems in online distance learning. But let us look at the most common problems that we share. I think we also have this in Indonesia. No, we have individual student related challenges or challenges that are inherent to our students. You might say the students do not have capabilities, technology to use to attend online classes. You might also say that the students do not have the motivation to attend online classes. You might also say that the students do not have the readiness to attend online classes or to be with us in this paradigm shift. No, there are many problems inherent to our students. And as teachers, we have to understand those and we have to find ways on how we can mitigate or address them. Okay. And then the instructional related challenges. What are these instructional related challenges? The mastery of the teacher with the content. That's one problem. The references, the resources, no, that we can give to our students is also a concern. Remember, when we shifted to online classes, we had problems with the modules, with doing online resources. We had problems with those because we cannot just give them materials. They have to undergo quality check. So it's really a problem if these materials do not undergo quality check. And then we have the institutional related challenges, the capacity and capability of the university or the school to provide us with support, no, with all the infrastructures needed for us to be able to continue with the education given the new modality. Not all schools have internet access. Not all schools provide computers to the teachers. In the Philippines, we are very much lucky that DepEd or the Department of Education provided each teacher with a laptop. I do not know if that happens also in Indonesia, But the main issue is, even though we have the laptop, we do not have internet connections. That's another issue. So you can just mention a lot of issues, no? But these issues can be categorized into three: individual, instructional, and institutional challenges. Now let's go to the individual student-related challenges. These are the challenges that are common among our students. The lack of support of parents to the children. There are parents who do not want to support their children's education when it is done online because they believe it's not efficient and it's not effective. So they would rather just have them children stop from going to school and just go to school whenever this pandemic stops. Okay, we have these kinds of parents. The teacher and the student support. Also, not all teachers are supportive. Some teachers cannot just understand that even children have problems, have issues that they too cannot address. If we teachers have problems with this new modality, how much more our students? You see? So as teachers, we have to understand this. And student support or peer support, no? Because of this online distance learning, students do not go to school, cannot attend face-to-face classes. And so what happens? There is lack of interaction. They can't have friends. They can only have virtual friends, but this cannot be their real friends. You see, this is another problem. Next, financial difficulty. A lot of people lose their job when the pandemic hits the world. So there really is a problem with their finances. That's why parents cannot provide internet access to their children. They cannot provide cell phones. Nowadays, we don't need just a cell phone. We need a smartphone, no? So really, there is difficulty in finances, no? And then discipline, time management, and poor study habits. Discipline is is an issue nowadays because we have a little control among our students. We cannot control them anymore. Unlike before, when we do the face-to-face classes, we have a lot of control. We have so much control to our students. But nowadays, we really can hardly control our students, no? Time management. Students have difficulty managing their time and poor study habits because like what I've said, not all students are motivated to attend online classes. And then difficulties in learning technically demanding material because we are shifting to a computer-mediated learning or to computer-assisted learning or the CALL. We have difficulty navigating and maneuvering from what we are used to in a traditional classes into an online distance learning using technologies, no? And then motivation, engagement, and commitment is another problem. Given all the hindrances, issues, and challenges among our students, don't you think it's going to be more challenging to encourage and motivate them and be committed in their education? It's gonna be a challenge, correct? Because aside from thinking on how they can pass their subjects, they're also thinking of the concerns and other issues inherent of them in their families, you see? And then the significant impact on students' social and emotional well-being. I hope you do this in your country, you know, but in our country, we conduct monthly, we conduct mental health webinar because it's very important that we take good care of the mental health of our students. Even teachers get stressed and also they also get depressed because of the situation. And we have to help them, especially now that we are now shifting to a limited face-to-face classes, another agony, another adjustment, you know? So we have to check on the well-being of everyone. Okay? And then we have the instructional related challenges. There are so many questions that we have to answer. I'm not going to ask for answers, but I think we have to reflect on this and ponder on the different questions that we have. First, how can we create a community of online learners? Community of online learners, that means to say that everyone can, there's no one left behind. With the new modality, there is no one left behind. Everyone can adjust, everyone can adapt, because everyone can follow. Everyone can do and attend classes online. How do we prepare students to get technologically prepared for distance learning? Do they have the material? Do they have the technology? Do they have the access? These are the things we have to know. How can we select and use synchronous and asynchronous tools to facilitate the interaction essential for learning? How can we set this up? How can we schedule this that would be best for our students? How do we maximize student-teacher, student-student interaction online? What protocol do we have? What system do we use? What learning management system do we employ? How do we accommodate different learning styles and age ranges? How do we address those visually inclined learners, those bodily kinesthetic learners, those auditory learners? How do we set appropriate expectations for student work? Do they have the resources? Do they have the materials? Do they have the capabilities to meet our rubrics? No? What are the appropriate training models for distance learning? How do we avoid letting the technology interfere with quality education? Because we cannot dwell so much on technology, because even technology fails us. Sometimes there is a problem with internet connection. Sometimes our laptop malfunctions. So how can we avoid that? And how can we help our students not to abuse technology? Because now that we go online, even though we attend limited face-to-face classes, most of our classes are still conducted online. Sometimes they now have the opportunity to access all websites online. And I do not know if this is true to you in the Philippines, because pornography has become rampant, that the country has banned all pornographic sites. That's a good step, because everyone now can access pornography, no? And then how do we adapt in a new environment? Beyond training issues, we can only train teachers, but are we really helping them to adapt in this new normal? That these are the questions we have to address, and there is no one answer to these questions, and sometimes we just have to discover the answer among ourselves. The real challenge is to provide effective distance learning with meaningful activities to keep students focused on their learning goals and performance objectives. In the short term, we need to recover, including ensuring our students have all the social and emotional supports they need for a successful return to school. Okay, now let's go to the institutional related challenges. If we have administrators here, I think it's about time that you reflect on this, no? If you are an administrator, you have to find answers to these questions. First, how do we address the respectability or image of distance education issue? Because like what I've said, not everyone has confidence to online learning or in online distance learning. Some think that it's not going to be effective. So as an administrator, how can we establish the credibility that even though we go to distance education, the quality remains the same? Okay, how do we ascertain the goals of distance learning, the efficiency, the broad standards, the access to quality education, reaching broader group of learners? How can we support the delivery of online education from registration to graduation? What support can we give to teachers, to students? Because teachers also need support. Lack and delayed important information. Do we give important information on time, or because of this pandemic, even our information dissemination is hindered? Difficulty in administrative services, lack of an effective institutional network of technical assistance. How do we develop balance in distance learning workloads compared to traditional workloads in clinical settings? This is true for those in the medicine field. Delayed study materials. When we started with modular distance learning, we had problems with providing printed modules because of scarcity in resources. We had problems with photocopying and providing the printed materials. So some students shared, those who live nearby, or just shared modules. But nowadays, we have now completed the number of modules that we needed. So there's no problem with the study materials. How do we address the technological haves and have-not issues? Those who do not have technology, what can we do about them? Those teachers who cannot even buy, who cannot even have their subscription with internet providers, how can we help them? The students, no? What funding models should we adopt to support distance learning course development? Okay, now let's go to connect. We are done with what disconnects us, and for the connect, what can
Hello,
we do?
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
Doctor. You
Yes,
have
sir.
got 2 more minutes to have the presentation, then you have got question session. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Okay, it's going to be fast, so we have to choose the right platform that is accessible, equitable, communicative, monitorable, and sustainable. And we have to involve the parents. We have to make them more engaged in the educative process because they are our partners, no? So we have to create partnership with parents. And we have to diversify. As teachers, we have to diversify our teaching strategies so as to better cater to the different learning styles of our students. And we have to structure our online teaching to create a sense of routine, that it becomes a routine, so students would no longer be would no longer experience a hard time, no, having a hard time attending online classes. And of course, let's maintain communication. There must be interactions among us and among our students. Same thing with establishing relationship. And for teachers, be kind to ourselves. So we need to rest. If we let us not, we could just exert much effort, but if we really cannot have it, if that's the only thing we can provide, then it's okay. It's going to be okay. So we have to be kind to ourselves. You have to rest if you need it, no? And you need to ask support if you needed. And if your well-being has become an issue, you have to seek professional advice. So I'm done with my presentation, sir. That's all I can share with you. I hope you learned something. Thank you.
Well, great. It's a really great presentation, Dr. Albert. We have learned a lot related to distance learning.
Thank you,
And
sir.
the most interesting topic from you, namely conic is conic and conic. So in Indonesian language, we say putus nyambung, ya. It's like a relationship between boy and girl. So connect, disconnect, and connect again.
Yes.
And that's what happened in our online learning. And surely in in Philippines, we did the same thing, I guess. When I get the main problem of distance learning is about internet connection. This is a really huge problem we have. Because if we got that problem, so everything will be messed up. But I get
Yes.
some points from your presentation just now. The first talking about interaction and distance learning, and I do like when you level the challenges into 3 levels, namely individual challenges, instructional challenges, and institutional challenges. I think
Yes.
I do agree with you that you level the challenges into 3. The first we have individual, means students' problem, and the second instructional challenges, means what happened in the teaching and learning process, and the last is institutional problem, namely it is about how about the funding model to support the remote learning, right? And you provide us some solution, namely the first, I'm so interested in your solution. Namely, the first, we have to create parents and parents and children, kemudian, and then teachers and students, and probably all of the community, like parent, teachers, society must cooperate one another to support and to solve the problem. If I'm not mistaken from what I got from you, is that right, Dr. Albert?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I'm so curious because just now you're talking about well-being at school. Can you give us a little bit more explanation about that, sir?
Yes,
Well-being.
sir.
What is that?
Yes, sir. When the pandemic hit the world, a lot of our students had problems with their well-being, especially they get depressions. Yes.
Yeah, the person,
Even
right?
though even teachers, you know what, in the Philippines, suicide becomes a trend. It became a trend. A lot of some students are committing suicide because of depression. So, and even teachers are resigning. They are moving to another profession because they get depressed and they get so overloaded with all this stuff brought about by the pandemic. So as teachers and as administrators and as as students also, I think we need to check on our well-being or on our mental health. Everyone, our
Yes.
mental health is very sacred. We have to protect it because that's where we get our power and our strength. If we let depression destroy our mental being, we cannot do anything. No, we cannot go forward anymore. So please protect our well-being, sir, and everyone.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So well-being is about how to manage our stress, right? How to
Yes, sir.
manage our, depression,
Yes.
because I know that everyone is stressful, and everyone is under pressure because of lots of problem happen in our life due to pandemic. But I guess now I think everyone is getting better, especially in terms of getting a little bit depression, but not really hard as we have during the pandemic. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's great. So let me check the questions from participants here. Let me see. Okay, so Michael Barden here is saying that I really love the multidimensional approach, looking both into student and teacher issues as they are interrelated. Great job. Okay. And from Miss Wanda, Dr. Albert, would you mind sharing your slides to the participant, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll be uploading my presentation so everyone can access.
Yes. If anyone want to have a question, so please write in the chat box, or you may raise your hand up. Oh, Albert is okay. Good. Yep. Any question more from audiences? If you have got no questions, I think it's been clear enough. Dr. Albert, thank you very much for being so amazing with us for today, sharing your great presentation, talking
Thank you, sir
about
Abdul.
distance learning, connect, disconnect, and connect again. Okay. Thank you
Thank you,
very
sir.
much, Dr.
Thank you,
Albert.
sir.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we move to the next presenter. Keynote speaker. We have Dr. Atul Patil. Are you already here, sir? Dr.
Yes,
Atul?
yes. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I'm there.
yeah. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Atul Patil.
Yeah, Assalamualaikum. Good morning.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thanks from
Okay.
India.
Okay, great. What time is it in India, doctor?
It's 11:22 at present.
Oh, 11:22. So you have got
AM.
earlier than us. Okay.
Morning. Yeah.
Yeah, morning. Okay, Dr. Atul Patil here is from School of Holistic Development, MITR Design and Technology University, India. I'm interested in MIT. Is it like MIT in Massachusetts? Is it,
No, it's Maharashtra Institute of Technology in India.
Oh, but there is no affiliation between MIT and Massachusetts?
No.
No, okay. So you stand alone. Okay, doctor, are you ready to present your presentation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we can't wait to enjoy your session. I'd like to have your great time to present your topic.
Yes, thank you. So greetings to each one of you from India. It's indeed a matter of privilege and honor for me to be here virtually making this presentation. Before I begin, I'd like to place on record my sincere thanks to Professor Dr. Andy and Professor Dr. Mutmaina for this wonderful opportunity. They have this, magic midas of bringing people from the globe together, and this conference is an example. I also place on record my sincere thanks to the moderator for warm welcome. The topic that I am going to throw some light on today is building a nest. As birds build their nest on their own, we as researchers also build on knowledge for any research study that we wish to carry out. And in this journey, we need to have a toolbox, and that is what is called researcher's toolbox. We need to use this toolbox to make our research more effective and fruitful. Now, if we peep into the past, only the last couple of years, we have understood that because of the pandemic, we faced, this new normal, and therefore we cannot return to the world as it was before. And that is what the previous presenter also highlighted, connect, disconnect, and connect again. So keeping the same thread in mind, as we are discussing in this.
Excuse me, doctor. I
Yeah.
think you have problem with your slides.
Oh, just a minute. Can you see it now?
I think it's a process. Yes, but I think you can make it, full screen for your slide is better.
Yeah, I've done that.
Oh.
Can you see it now?
Not full screen. But before you share it, I guess you have to make it full screen first, and after that you may share. Yeah,
All right.
yes.
What about now?
Wait. Yeah, thank you. It's
Yes,
great.
thank you. Thank you. Sorry for this.
No problem. Okay.
Yeah, so what I was saying is, because of the new normal, we cannot go back to the world as it was before. And that we need to keep in mind as we are here discussing, this in just a period of 60 seconds. These many things are happening, on Facebook, for example, 1.4 million scrolling are happening. YouTube, 500 hours of content is getting uploaded. And if you go through all other inputs that you see, like 69 million messages are sent on WhatsApp. So this is what is happening in just a span of 60 seconds. And that is how we are moving towards this new normal, or that is how technology has influenced the way we live, the way we think, and the way we communicate. Keeping this in mind, every researcher, therefore, has multiple opportunities to explore all such areas and understand how each and everything is going to happen in the future as well. So if this is what is happening in 60 seconds, there is so much that we can do. And therefore, when we talk of research, research is like building a nest. Like birds build a nest on their own, we also build on knowledge, and whatever knowledge that exists, we can make contribution after we identify the gaps, and that is how we can make. So I would like to use this analogy of building a nest for building research in any area for that matter. And therefore, like the bird has to take a lot of efforts on its own, the bird doesn't go to any school, any engineering college, but still is able to construct such a beautiful nest. And that is what we can learn. When we talk of nest building, it is not an inborn talent. It is a learned skill, because nest building doesn't come as a, inborn talent. It is a skill that the birds learn from experience. And that is what many research studies have proved. Researchers also found that individual birds even change their techniques when they build one nest from one to another. They also change their techniques. And researchers also saw that some birds build their nest from left to right, and some birds do it from right to left. And that is what we can also do in the research. Rather than just following one step left to right, we can also do it the other way. And that is what we need to keep in mind. So if birds build their nest according to their genetic template, we would expect all the birds to build their nest in the same way each time, but that doesn't happen, because different birds build their nest differently, because practice makes everyone perfect. And therefore, this same principle can be applied to research, because research is also like building knowledge and creating new knowledge every time, as advocated by Neil Armstrong. So, but unfortunately, what happens is when we talk of research, we think that research means only doing or pursuing a PhD, but that is not the case. Research does not only mean PhD, because if you look at PhD, people may look at different meanings of the acronym PhD. It doesn't mean passed high school with difficulties. It also involves many other things. But unfortunately, what we see even in PhD research that people, candidates or scholars carry out, the first year they are very much enthusiastic, but as they move from the first year to the second year, the interest level goes down, or even the contribution goes down, and the third year, and then finally what you had imagined and what your thesis proposes, there is a mismatch. And therefore, for research, people only go on downloading books, but when we have to read, we are very we do not read in the same amount, and therefore this is when we download books and this is when we read books. And a person who gets engrossed in research always has many questions in his or her mind. Even especially married scholars, they have difficulties. Like, she's thinking that he's probably thinking of somebody else, but he's thinking about the acronym or the term at all, and he's asking, why has he written so many papers? So the real author may be one, and at all they may include many, and many such questions can be there for any research scholar. But if we overthink, then there would be a problem. And therefore, rather than overthinking, we have to give our best and contribute to the field of research. Now, in this case, age really doesn't matter. What matters is your interest, how much interest you have and how good you are at making observations. Because, for example, this gravitational force, the theory of gravitational force, Newton must have made good observations, and not only with observation of a tree from which an apple falls, but he must have checked many other things. He must have thrown some objects into the air and checked whether they fall or do not fall. So observation really is an important key. That is the first thing that a researcher needs to have in his or her toolbox. And of course, many researchers we find only struggle with publishing their papers. And this is what happens, that on one paper is submitted and multiple reviewers come up with their multiple comments, and therefore scholars or researchers are not able to meet the requirements of various journals. But research doesn't only restrict oneself to writing and publishing papers, because your paper may get different shapes after multiple revisions that you make based on the comments by the reviewers. So the most important thing, therefore, is getting things done well in advance, rather than just waiting for your advisor or a supervisor or a guide to give you feedback. And therefore, it is like a bird builds a nest on its own. We also need to do many things on our own. The role of the supervisor would be only to show the directions, but it is we that we have to go ahead and travel or reach the destination. So this is what we expect, and this is what finally we write, as far as PhD theses are concerned. Or sometimes people expect less and they write more. So we really need to have that framework in mind. Let me give you, share with you, very interesting story at this juncture. Some scientists came together and they decided to perform an experiment on a dog. So their first experiment, they were ready. What they did was they cut one of the dog's legs off and they asked the dog to walk. They wanted to check whether the dog is able to walk or not. So the dog could get up and it could walk. So what they learned, that the dog could walk with just 3 legs. This was their conclusion. Then they decided to perform second experiment with the same dog. What they did was they cut off the second leg from the dog. And then they asked the dog once again to walk. And the dog this time was able to walk even with 2 legs. So the third experiment, they further went ahead and cut another leg from the dog. And once more, they told the dog to walk. However, this time the dog wasn't able to walk with only 1 leg. So as a result of these 3 experiments, the scientists wrote in their final report or dissertation that the dog had lost its hearing after having 3 legs cut off. So they thought that the dog is not able to walk because it cannot hear or listen to their instructions. And therefore, this is what they came up as a conclusion. So if this is something that our research attempts to do, we are probably misguided, or we are probably not on a proper track, and therefore we need to keep this in mind. And research or getting degrees is not difficult. I mean, research PhD, we look at it only as one degree, but look at this professor who holds 145 degrees at the age of 50 years, and that he could do only in a span of 30 years. So there are many such people who not only complete PhD but also go ahead with multiple degrees. And therefore we have to have that plan in mind, because research, yes, it is painful, but it is temporary, because the degree that we get, PhD or any other result that we get, is forever. It has lifelong validity. And therefore, when we plan our research, we have to ensure that the beginning is effective. And for that, we have to choose our first stone well, and then build on the other things. So, like the famous poem, Indian poem titled Jejuri says that if you choose your first stone well, the kind you can build upon the stones will stand. And therefore, selection of the first stone is very important, and that is what this presentation highlights. So let us now understand what research skills do we need in our toolbox. Before that, we need to understand what is the definition of the word skill. It's an ability, of course, but it's an ability to produce solutions, solve problems. And that happens with adequate practice. And it is not only to perform a task, but to perform a task actively and consistently. And it also involves performing various types of cognitive and behavioral activities. So skill, in short, means your ability to do something effectively. And it doesn't only restrict oneself to physical skills, but it also involves different skills. Because when we talk of physical skills, we may think of only maybe a skilled technician or a person processing metals, but that is physical ability, because we can divide this word skill into different categories. One could be the skill of dexterity, which focuses on doing something very freely with comfort. But only proficient physical skills are not going to be useful. We need to focus on other skills also, like thinking skills, for example. So you need to make accurate decisions and take appropriate actions when you are able to think, because it doesn't matter whether one was born with intelligence, but it is about your ability, how the knowledge that you acquire through long-term experience, you are able to use it. And therefore, proficient thinking skills play a very essential role for any researcher. Researchers also need to possess other skills like reading, as we discussed in the beginning, because it is said today a reader, tomorrow a leader. And maximum knowledge that we gain is by reading. And for a researcher, reading is very crucial, because now everything is available in form of text. Gone are the days where you had to only rely on your supervisor to get some ideas or read only books. So today, reading doesn't only involve reading books sitting in a library, but exploring anything online. Then writing is another important skill, because you will have to write reports, but those have to be written with no common errors in terms of grammar, spelling, or punctuation. And therefore that involves, you also need to have skills in mathematics, because you will be dealing with numbers if you are dealing or carrying out quantitative research or any analysis for that matter. And of course, speaking and listening, as you need to be a good communicator, you will deal with people, interact with them. Then apart from these basic skills, you also need to be a good thinker, creative and critical thinker. You also need to possess problem solving skills, decision making skills, and the most important thing is visualization. As I said, Newton must have visualized something, and therefore he was able to come up with the theory of gravitational force. So when we talk of critical and creative thinking, they inspire ideas. And as you know, ideas inspire change. So only reading is not going to help you. It's like you gain knowledge, but it will not do any magic unless you apply what you gain. And therefore, critical and creative thinking can help us. Now, in this process, when you think critically, our perception may be different than what we assume. Like if you look at this picture, somebody might say that I see a young girl, and somebody might say that I see an old woman. But both answers are possible. That is how the picture is drawn. And therefore, our assumption and our perspectives may not always match. We also need to be an optimistic thinker. For example, this pencil is broken. Rather than depending on what happened, I should think that now I have two pencils, right? Rather than crying for what has happened, we need to look at the positive side. And now one can say that I've got two pencils. I just need to sharpen it and use it more effectively. Now, critical thinking is very crucial. Here is an example, and I would like you to answer this in the chat box. It's a very simple question. A bat and a ball, both together cost 110 rupees or $110 or whatever currency that you use. You can imagine in that. The bat cost 100 rupees more than the ball. So how much does the ball cost? Now I'm sure that maximum answers would be 110. But if you look at this and take a minute to think about this, many people must have responded that the cost must be 10 rupees or $10, but that's not the answer. So what is the answer? Total cost is 110. If we go mathematically, x plus 100 is equal to 110. Then we get 2x plus 100 is equal to 110, and 2x is equal to 110 minus 100. So 2x is 10, so x is 5. So the ball cost 5 rupees and the bat cost 105 rupees. So the total comes to 110 rupees. So many people answer this incorrectly. And the answer is that we often substitute difficult problems with simple ones to quickly solve them. So this is not should happen in carrying out research. We are supposed to solve problems, but for that we need planning, because it is said that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And therefore planning is very essential, and every plan or goal that we set has to be smart. What is that? Smart simply means it has to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So I have to be very specific. Otherwise, you see research studies where people have broad areas. For example, use of computer in teaching. This is a very broad area. You need to be very specific. Computer means what aspect of computer, software, hardware, what exactly are you going to focus on? And teaching what level of students? So specific, measurable. Can you really measure the drastic change if you have any intervention? And then is it achievable? Can you really achieve this? And whether it is relevant to the present and to the future, that we need to think. And most importantly, time bound, whether the goal that you set, is it time bound or not, that we need to think. Because people may have multiple resources, but if you don't know how to use the resources, what is the use of having such resources? That is what you see in the picture. Then apart from critical and creative thinking, you also need to be good at people skills, because you will have to interact with people. yeah, social negotiation. You need to possess not only good team building characteristics, but also leadership qualities. And you need to be aware of cultural diversity, because even the non-verbal communication could be different. So in this process, we need to follow our heart, which will always think creatively, but we also need to take our brain with us, because it will always think critically. So creative critical thinking, it's like a combination of what your heart thinks and what your brain thinks. So thinking skills may involve many other things, like you read, you also are able to spell, and this is how the list goes on. Another important set of skills is communication skills, because whatever we are able to read, think, we should be able to express. So research is not only for income, to earn money or to get promoted. It is not for income, it is for outcome. What is your outcome? And for that, you should be able to communicate your output to the people, to the readers. And that involves not only speaking effectively or listening effectively, but reading, writing, and convincing and presenting your points effectively. So you need to be good at interpersonal skills, because you will have to deal with other people. It could be your supervisor, the people that you share your results with. The numerical skills, basic arithmetic knowledge, measuring. Nowadays there are many applications, software applications available. We can explore them also. Like in social sciences, we have SPPS, statistical package for social sciences, and there could be many such other applications. We also need to be good at information skills, because we need to collect information, whether it is data collection or understanding different information, knowing sources and citing them, using library systems or databases that we may have to refer to. The most important thing as a researcher that we need to have in our toolbox is time management, because we think that time is huge. Even we have got a huge life or a very long life. That is what we think. A small example, if we have, say, a span of around 70 years of life, you will be surprised to know that even if we sleep 8 hours a night, in a span of 70 years, we sleep for 25 years. So out of 70, 25 years gone in sleeping. Then minimum 15 years we spend in education. So 30 years we are left with. You won't believe, but 5 years we only spend eating breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, whatever it is. So 5 years gone in eating. 3 years we spend in washroom. And if I give you, statistical details like this, we are left with hardly 10 to 15 years. And research, also has limitations, like people carrying out research on pandemic. Now the pandemic is over. So completing your research in time is very essential. And therefore, setting goals, planning, organizing, delegating, and prioritizing tasks. You also need to have ability to break down big goals or big projects into smaller parts. It's like if I have a jar, and if I put like I put big rocks in the jar first, then I see that there are gaps, and then I put pebbles into the jar, then I put sand into the jar, and then I still can pour water into the jar. But if I do it the other way, if I pour water into the jar, then pour sand, then pour pebbles, and then pour big rocks, there will be an overflow. So we have to deal with the big rocks first. So deal with big goals, make them fall into smaller goals, and therefore completing this within the deadline is very important. And then problem solving skills, because we have to deal with difficult situations and overcome different challenges, whether they are in business or even in academics or even in research. And then ability to deal with problems effectively plays very important role. And of course, personal management skills, because these are intra skills that you need to possess. The motivation from within will help you develop these skills, whether you are punctual, how you dress yourself, and all these aspects play very important role with your positive attitude as well. Then apart from these skills, functional skills, how well you are organized, whether you are doing these things, following these aspects of sub skills or not, will decide your proficiency in functional skills. And lastly, IT and digital skills, which I don't need to talk in details, but not only Microsoft, Office, you also need to go ahead with additional skills that you need to possess in this digital new normal. So with this, what we understand is all these skills as toolbox play a very important role. And when we carry out research, we need to deal with these important components. One is a question or a problem or a hypothesis, and you need data for that. You need to analyze, interpret, and show your output. So that is what we understand. But the research could be either basic or applied. In basic research, we acquire knowledge for the sake of knowledge, or we get more or complete understanding. But in applied research, I'm winding it up. Another 2 minutes. We deal with humans and solve social, societal problems, and therefore that is very important. So applied research involves all these important steps for which you need these skills. And you also need to check the validity and reliability, which is a fundamental in any kind of research. So you need to deal with these questions. Research what you are going to research. So for example, in language teaching, it could be any thing in language teaching. It could deal with proficiency, material development, or teaching of skills, or teaching of grammar. Then what is the overall methodology, whether it is qualitative or quantitative, or whether it is mixed method research, that one has to think. Then how these tools, methods that we need to use. And for this, you will have to use or explore the skills that we talked about. And apart from how, who you are going to research, whether they are teachers, learners, or anybody else, and who is being researched, whether they are individuals or belonging to specific groups, age or proficiency, and what teaching material or situations that we are going to deal with. So we need to follow these steps, and if we follow these steps effectively, along with the skills that we talk about initially, and carry out a pilot study, we will be able to collect resources. And when we collect sources, we also need to jot down their details. So this is how we are able to carry out research and use this toolbox effectively. And whether it is a platform for PhD or even any other research study, we need to go through all these aspects. So coming back to what I said initially, is building a nest. If you are able to possess these skills and apply them effectively, you will also be able to build a nest effectively. And the similar analogy could be used. So wish you all the best for building your own nest and engineering research in an effective way. So thank you very much, Professor Abdul Wafi, for this opportunity once again. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Akbar Patil. And when I read your title, Building a Nest, Researchers Toolbox, I think it's quite philosophical, topic to discuss, because we have to learn about how, birds build a nest. And what I get from you, that in building a nest here, we have got learned a skill, right? So one bird, when he or she builds a nest, so he uses different technique, right, sir? Okay. Well, what I got one point from you, I would like to clarify that choose the first stone. So I'm so curious in this point. What is that, sir, actually?
Yeah, it's like, building your research. You may have multiple ideas, but the mistake that we usually do is we become too or over ambitious. I want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, everything simultaneously. So we need to prioritize. We need to decide what is the first thing that we need to do. And that is like building the foundation. If you have to construct a building, the foundation has to be strong. And that foundation may include fundamentals of research that you need to know, because upon that you are going to build your research. So the foundation has to be strong. And once your fundamentals are clear, you will be able to build, even multi-storied building. Same is the principle applied in the field of research. So we have to be very specific about the first step that we take. It's like making a first impression, because you don't get a second opportunity to make your first impression. Similarly, in research or in any work, your foundation has to be strong. Your fundamentals have to be clear. Once they are clear, once you know what you are going to do in your research, your topic is clear. For example, in PhD, for example, you need a statement, the topic. Unless you have a topic, you can't go on building your ideas. Same can be applied for any research that one has to carry out.
Yes. Okay. So the main point, we should focus, try to get focus. And finally, we take one fundamental point to be our research. Okay. So let me check again what I got from you. You have got skills, because building nest is a learned skill. So we have to have skills. There are many skills here. We have physical skills, thinking skill, people skill, interpersonal and intrapersonal skill, time management skill. Well, there are a lot of skills to have. But among all of the skills, so as a beginner researcher, so which one should we do the first time, actually, sir?
Yeah, I think they all play, equally important role, because when we carry out research, it's like, we deal with multiple things. We deal with people, we deal with ideas, we deal with problems, we have to come up with solutions. So it's like for, anything that we do, each one has a role to play. And therefore, all these skills play very crucial role. But still, if you ask me to come up with only one skill, I think the most important skill is your ability to communicate. Good observation and ability to communicate. As I said, it is not only for income, but it is for the effective output that we do. So if you are able to communicate your ideas, it will be effective. Otherwise, I may have brilliant ideas, but what is the use of those ideas if I am not able to put them across the table? If I'm not able to talk about them, if I'm not able to convince people about them. So communication skills.
Yeah, I do agree with you, sir, that communication is the paramount one. For example, if we want to share, to express our love to someone we love, for example, but, we use wrong communication, so probably we will get rejected then.
Very good.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, dear sir. I guess there is no other questions here from the chat box, I guess. So again, I want to highlight one last point from you, namely SMART. SMART here is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Okay, well, again, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for sharing your great presentation just now, Building a Nest Researchers Toolbox. Okay, thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the next keynote speaker, Michael Barron. So, are you there, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I'm so happy to meet you again, the virtual moment we have. Okay, Michael Barron, he's from, founder of Barron Consulting Australia. So, dear sir, may I ask you some questions about what is that Barron Consulting here actually?
Sure, and thank you very much for having me over once again. In a nutshell, what my company is doing, we're providing consulting services to clients who are interested in using analytics in order to enhance their business operations. And of course, because I've been working with universities in a number of capacities for some years, many of our clients happen to be universities and schools. This is why analytics and education is something we're really looking into.
So your working consulting here is for educational department, I mean, for education institutions?
Not only for education institutions, but it just so happens that many of the clients, partially because I'm probably better connected with them than I am within other industries, that many of our clients happen to be education institutions, because I
Oh,
also work at universities as an academic, so it kind of helps.
Wow, that's great. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get connected to Michael Barron, probably you wanna, ask something, consult something related to your institution. So, kindly, how can audiences or participants can connect you, sir? Is it via email or?
I've shared my LinkedIn profile details in the chat, and I would love to hear from different organizations who are also involved in learning analytics, so we can learn from each other, because it's never-ending journey of learning.
Yeah. Okay. So we are waiting for your, profile link in your, the chat box, sir. Do you want to write that in the chat box, or is it that
I've already shared it earlier. Let me just let me just share it again, because there've been some further posts below. Yep.
Okay. Yep. Oh yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, dear sir. So now it's your time to to have your presentation.
Thank you so much.
I would like to give you time to share your screen, please.
Thank you so much, Professor. And I'm delighted to be here, because I think it is throughout such collaborative sessions that we can understand better what is going on in our brave new world, in the post-COVID world. And I would love to get feedback on what we're going to discuss today, because I think it's a never-ending project. Digital transformation that I'm working on is a never-ending project. So we're only at the start of the journey. So today I would love to share my experiences in dealing with the COVID challenge and the resulting need for digital transformation, the lessons that I've been learning, and the changes I've been making to my analytical processes as a result. So, role of analytics has been really big recently for virtually every industry. And of course, in the industry of education, there's been particularly strong drive to understand what is going on. What is it that the students want? What is it that bringing students to our campuses? In Australia, even public universities have to generate income. And we really need to be customer focused and income driven. So we always try to consider education as a service that we deliver to community, to people, to customers. And while there are various setbacks behind this approach, at least it keeps us at bay with making sure that we're offering what's in demand. So what is in demand? This is where analytics comes into the picture. And of course, in the pre-COVID times, we were doing a lot of work that was incremental. On the previous study, we've been looking at, for instance, the courses institutions were delivering to students last year to understand better what were the sources of student satisfaction and the satisfaction this year. We would see where we failed and try to focus exclusively on those areas for improvement. In other words, we were looking at the past to understand the future. By studying the past, we would get greater insights into the future. And that was a very comforting, I should say, approach. Easy to plan, easy to manage, fairly easy to implement. Study the past data, understand what is to come next. And then with COVID, a lot of things happened. the very nature of the educational landscape has been affected dramatically. It's interesting that while whether COVID is over or not is still a big open question, but even if we assume that the COVID drama is over, the world is not going to be the same. We're not going back to the pre-COVID times. So the question is there any point for us to look at the pre-COVID data? Is it still relevant? When there's no COVID around anymore, can we go back to the old ways and say, okay, back to where we were, back to square one, let's continue from there? I don't think so. It's a very, very different environment now. So we can no longer use historic data. Universities, at least in Australia, have been struggling to build a link between the way they were delivering their services before COVID to what they want to do now. And it's not just about offering more online services. It's also about the fact that the world has changed. People have different requirements. They want to study different things. Particular courses were in demand before COVID. They are no longer in demand. So past results, past preferences of the students are not reliable. We have to again look into the future. And just a little snapshot of what has been going on. Australian Economic Activity Tracker. As you can see, it's been very volatile. And if we look specifically at the education sector, it is no less volatile than other sectors. Ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. So many reviews of traditional policies and processes going on as a result. And of course, for education, we have been stuck in the middle of nowhere. Many universities and schools in Australia have been relying on international students. By looking into international student arrivals, by trying to attract students from all over the world, including all of the countries which are represented, you know, in this conference, they were maintaining their profits. They were supplying their operations with new blood. And of course, they were tailoring the courses to the needs of international students who were studying onshore, not offshore. Suddenly, a dramatic change is taking place to the way things were done. No new visas issued. International students studying online because our borders were closed for a while. Local students, they're not really sure whether it's safe to study or not, whether they should go back to campus or continue studying online. As far as delivery of the service is concerned, also a lot of problems emerging. Traditionally, analytics could also help us to maintain the staff. I've been running some programs in the IT departments for universities, and it was not that hard to get staff. To get staff to work with us, we would have to search in the local areas. For instance, I've been working with regional campuses where you have a fairly small town and one university in the town, and all the top academics residing in that particular town are going to work for us, of course. And for schools, likewise, there is a top private school and a top public school. And the best teachers in town are going to work for us. Because where else can they work? Unless they want to move elsewhere. And now suddenly it's very different. Many of those teachers, many of their professors are saying, we've got better things to do. We can work online. On the other hand, we can suddenly approach people who are living outside those towns and chat to them about online teaching. And if we get them interested, they will get on board. So it's a very, very different scenario now. And this is where we're turning our attention from analyzing past data to predictive analytics. And this has been my motto recently. When we're trying to do analytics, we should look at what it is, not at what it was. Because if we keep looking into the past, we will not advance in the future. We will not understand what is going on. And it's not just about pandemic anymore. It's about very fast pace of change that is taking place. Organizations are evolving very, very fast. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, you will see it's very interesting. As well as doing consulting. And of course, for businesses, of course, it's normal to have clients all over the world. I'm doing a bit of academic work. So I'm based in Melbourne. And I'm currently involved with 2 organizations in academic roles, teaching in both of them. One is also in Australia, but in a different state, city of Adelaide. And I haven't been traveling over there to do my work. I've been working remotely. The second one, Swiss Business School, which is located on another continent. And of course, this is very standard story for academics today, to work remotely for organizations outside their cities, outside their states, outside their countries, even outside their continents. So if we look at stuff, requirements, using good old analytics before pandemics, before education moved online, we won't get a complete picture. Likewise with the students, the way they select places to study is very different now from what it was. Location becomes secondary factor. They don't have to get to campus. Also, the way people think is very different now from what it was. Online education has been available in Australia long before pandemics. There have been universities running online courses. They were easily available. You could be living in the regional area and studying a top-notch university. You could, but very few people did. Why? Because it was kind of weird. Is it the same to study online as if we're studying face-to-face? Are we getting the same value? We're not even going to class and we're paying money to study. How can? Is it fair? Is it a good deal? You would tell them, look, you are living in a small town where there's only one local university, which is not ranked very highly, and you have a chance to study in one of the top universities of the country. And they would say, nah, online study is not the same. Today, suddenly, in online classes, you get students from all over the countries, all over the world. Entire paradigm has been shifting. This is what we need to address through our analytics. Looking at the past data won't help. Need to move forward and understand the current processes, what is going on now, and not even what has been going on at the early stages of pandemics. Now that we're getting over pandemics, but now and only based on the current affairs, current events, we can look into the future. Even recent past is past. So I don't want to get technical here, but just one critical point as far as analytics is concerned. Traditionally, with analytics, we would focus on variables within a context. In other words, what we would do, we have a context, our country, our industry, our company. In case of educational sector, our university or our high school. And then we look at different variables within this context. All of this has changed. Now what my company and many other organizations are doing, we're not having predetermined context. Every time we have to review what's going on, we're trying to understand and document a new emerging dynamic context within which those variables have to work. Because otherwise, if we're not dynamic enough, we're going to be studying something which no longer exists. It's almost like you get married, you run into some marital problems, and then after divorce, you start looking into those marital problems. It is way too late. Other problems to address? Yes. But why are people lagging behind? Because they're not dynamic enough. So I think traditionally we didn't have to be that dynamic because we knew our organization, we knew our industry, we knew our environment. Now it's so different. Even students that study on campus, they keep reviewing the recordings. Most Australian universities have been producing those recordings for years. Students would watch the recordings if they happen to miss a class. When they did attend, very few would review the lectures at a later date. Today, it becomes a common practice, a common pattern for study. Going through lectures, going through webinars again and again. Creating informal student groups, also online. So it's a brave new world indeed. So why do we have to do it? It's hard, isn't it? It's hard to keep reviewing the context within which we're operating and adjusting our processes. The answer is, in a nutshell, this is the only way to survive. This is the only way to keep operations sustainable. For a university today, for a high school today, to run a successful school, and I may not have enough exposure to worldwide perspective, to perspective in your respective countries, but in Australia, you really have to offer those courses, those delivery methods, those delivery models that are in demand.
Doctor?
Yes.
Okay, I think you have got 2 more minutes to finish the presentation. Is it possible?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
I haven't got the 20 slides, so I'll be wrapping it up shortly. Thank you so much for the reminder. So this is why we really need to consider on the new analytical processes. So instead of looking at square one, as we did before, because going back to pre-pandemic times is going back to square one, let's look into square zero. Square zero, where we're starting to create the new reality from the very start of our analytical activity. And to sum up, we need to focus on building better rather than rebuilding, not rebuilding where we were, but going to the brave new era. And two, be proactive in constructing a better future for our organizations. And this is more or less all that I wanted to share with you tonight. I would love to get feedback and questions because it's all work in progress. And of course, it is the critical reviews that keep us going forward. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Michael Barron. It's quite interesting topic to discuss because we are talking about big data, right? you know, for some people that talking about big data here, I think it's like an abstract. But for you, I guess, because you know it well, so you know what is going on related to the big data, and you compare between you know, what happened after post COVID-19, right? And the changes, especially between before and after COVID-19, right? And just now you highlight, you know, the changes happened in education sector and also in business sector. You give us also example just now related to what's going on in Australia, related to international students then. Okay, so I'm so interested in that. Dr. Michael Barron, related to what is really going on there, related to international students there, because is it due to the pandemic, or what is exactly happening there actually?
Thank you very much. That's a very interesting question. So
yes,
when pandemic started, we lost all the international students who would study on campus because they could no longer get a visa. Our borders were closed. We can discuss whether it's right or wrong, but when government makes a decision, institutions have to live with it. So we were kind of stuck. And then late last year, the borders have opened again. We're getting international students once again, but more and more students choose to study with Australian institutions online. And those who do come on shore, they're not so desperate to come in a hurry. For instance, for Australian universities, those who want to study undergraduate programs, traditionally, they used to come to Australia and complete their high school studies on shore in Australia. And that would be extra time, extra financial burden for the families, and obviously sending kids overseas to study alone at the age of 15, 16, 17. It's not something every family would be prepared to do. Now, in such cases, parents are likely to get the kids to study in Australian schools online and then send them over to Australia for on campus study when they're older, more mature, more comfortable living overseas alone. And also for institutions now, we're really able to address international students better because in the past, we would say, look, you can attend some introductory webinars while still in your country. Online webinars, and they would say, yes, sure, but it's not the same. Now they don't say it's not the same. So it's a new world. And I think we're rebuilding, you know, overall our industry is rebuilding fast. But the interesting thing is, and this is why analytics is important. I know it's a bit, maybe a bit different in other countries, but in Australia, there's a cutthroat competition between universities for the students, for students' brains and for students' money. And in this competition, a lot of things are changing. Some of the universities that were traditionally the leaders, some of the schools that led the marketplace before, they're now losing their lead, and new institutions emerging because they're better fitted to survive in the new reality.
Okay. So in this point, I can say that how important is having big data for like predictive analytic, right? To decide what can we do in the future. I mean, to create a better future, right? And this is what you do and your company do. So you read the data, what was going on in the past, and then you try to predict what can you make for better future. Is that?
Yes, and one very big personal challenge for me and for others. Remember how things were. There were some things that we liked, and we would like to consider how to bring them back. But can we really reconstruct the past? Often we cannot, because it's just a different planet we're living on.
Okay. So I get your point, Dr. Michael Barron, related to how important we have a predictive analytic to create a better future by learning from the past. But we cannot reconstruct the past, right? But we can construct the better future. That's what we
Indeed.
can learn from you. Okay, again, thank you very much, Dr. Michael Barron, the founder of Barron Consulting from Australia. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me over. And yes, these days online is my main mode of travel to other countries, including some of my favorite countries such as Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, that you know, that have such broad representation in this conference. It's a great pleasure to meet you all.
Yeah, can't wait to see you in another session, Dr. Michael Barron. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we move on to the next presenter, and I think Dr. Nurul Fadilah would like to lead the session. Hello, Dr. Nurul Fadilah, are you there?
Tidak ada, Dinda, dilanjutkan saja dari.
Hai, lanjut?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. So we come up to the next. I'm sure this is my lovely sister from Turkey, Dr. Gul Eykol Bayram. Hello, dear lovely sister. We met again in this conference initiated by Dr. Andi Aslifan, our big brother, who has big data. Okay, so what time is it there in Turkey? How can I pronounce Turkey or Turkey?
Turkey.
Turkey. Okay.
Oh,
Yes, because our president Recep Tayyip Erdogan changed our pronunciation of name from Turkey to Turkey. Now in the international arena, we all named and call our country's name to Turkey. I'm so pleased to say my country rightly, dear brother. Assalamu alaikum to all my dear brothers and sisters, to Indonesia and all country members. I am so happy to meet you again in this very, very eminent with eminent speakers and very important conference. Thank you so much.
Okay, my beloved sister, Dr. Gul Eykol Bayram from Sinop. Is it Sinop or Sinop University? Sinop or Sinop?
Sinop.
Sinop.
Yes.
Think you know, I have got student, my ex-student actually, and he become you know, tour guide to Turkey. So he said that once in a month he accompanied some you know, visitors to Turkey and enjoying panorama in tourism places there in Turkey. So probably one day I can come there. He said that I have to spend 8 million rupiah to have 7 or 8 days for I mean, to enjoy the destination there. 8 million, I guess. I don't know exactly how much is it in. What is the currency in your country, Turkey? The currency.
Yes. Our Turkish liras now.
Liras, yeah, lira. Okay, lira. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yep. Without further ado, Dr. Eykol Bayram from Sinop University would like to present us your. I'm sure that your topic is quite interesting, so I give you time to I mean, to lead the session.
Dear brother, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am so happy to welcome to you here in my country. Can I start?
Okay. Sure.
Okay. I hope you can see my presentation rightly, dear brother.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Future
I will start
startup
my
exploring women entrepreneurs. Great.
yes. I would like to speak about women entrepreneurs in these days and also in future also. I am associate professor in Sinop University, and also I'm professional tour guide. My special area is women's studies also on behalf of tourism management. Firstly, we can start with the meaning of entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur is an individual who creates a new business and bearing most of the risk and enjoying most of the rewards. And this process setting up from different dimensions, as you see on the screen. The entrepreneur is commonly seen as an innovator and a source of new ideas, goods and services, and business and also procedures. And entrepreneurs play a key role in a country's economy, and they use some skills and initiative necessary to anticipate needs and bringing good new ideas to the market. And entrepreneurs provide to be successful in taking some risk, and creating a startup is rewarded with profits, fame, and continuing growth, some opportunities. And entrepreneurship that fails in losses and less prevalence in the markets for the loss involved. Why entrepreneurship is in some industries? Because entrepreneurs create some change, and also entrepreneurs give society some good things. We have some 5 characteristics to be an entrepreneur. Firstly, we have high motivation levels because entrepreneurs are fully motivated, and after all, they put in long hours to get their venture off the ground and invest some sums. And they do all of this knowing that it could be take months or even years for them entrepreneurs. While good payday of at the end of the tunnel is good motivation, and entrepreneurs tend to be more driven by passion for their offering, as well as by a desire to make good concerns. And the other one is vision. The best entrepreneur have a good vision as to what they want to achieve, how they can accomplish their objectives, and whom they need on their side to reach their goals. Their vision acts like a compass that points them in the direction of opportunities that perhaps no one else has found. They also have the ability to translate their vision in a way that staff or investors can understand. And the other one is confidence. Without confidence or self-belief, entrepreneurs cannot possibly succeed. They have to be confident both in themselves and in the products or services they sell. If they believe in themselves, they will leave the ability to stay course regardless difficulties or discouragement. And other one is decision making. Being able to be decisions quickly is an important characteristic for entrepreneurs, because it can be difference between success and failure. Entrepreneurs not only need to have good decision making skills, but also must have the capacity to make those decisions quickly in order to avoid missing opportunities. And there are some meanings of enterprise, entrepreneur, and entrepreneurship. It mainly refers to different forms of peoples who wants to make a new job and creating different values in the economical contribution, and also it embraces all sorts of activities in creation and operation of some good job, I think. And finally, we can come to the women entrepreneurs. Tourism industry have been recognized as one of the potentials of the economic development and economic transformation in the world. Service industry like tourism opens immense and entrepreneurial practices, especially for developing and underdeveloped countries. Following the characteristic of service industry, women entrepreneurs are increasing day by day, and their contributions are also recognized and appreciated globally. We can say that tourism has a superpower on behalf of women. The majority of its workforce is female in the tourism industry, because women are wife and women also sister, and women have many roles in the society, and it is mainly related with tourism works. For example, dishwashing, or for example, cleaning the room, or for example, welcoming our guests. It is our mainly related with our jobs in the society that we do very much. So women and girls has some advantage, also disadvantage in the tourism industry. As the United Nations revealed that some details say that the women and men are not equal in the tourism industry. So we have to so much mention about the diversity management in the tourism industry also. And even in many poor countries, we have some access of thriving some tourism business, with its major plus point that some workforce is mainly female. Tourism opens up opportunity for women, and also tourism pull them out of poverty, equip them with skills, and provide dignity, sustainable development. So the tourism industry unleashes a huge potential. Why women choose entrepreneurship mainly in tourism industry? Because firstly, it gives a freedom to work and live on their own terms. As a business owner, you run the show by setting your own hours and creating an ideal work or life balance. You have the liberty to make it happen in our own terms. And the second one is it gives opportunity to build something for ourselves. A great deal of energy goes into creating and building something that is all yours, and knowing that is work for ourselves instead of someone else. And the other one is unlimited earning potential. There is truly no limits in our income potential when we're running our company very well. With hard work, determination, and creativity, we can go from some figures to more than before. And the other one is multiple streams of income is possible when we running some new jobs. While many believe that having multiple streams of income is the only way to real wealth, we don't have to quit a job tomorrow to start our own business. Instead, we can gradually work ourselves into full-time entrepreneurship. And the other one is people are looking for something new in the digital world, especially related with metaverse, technological development, and virtual types, I think. And also, finally, we can say that new means innovative, and we have some advantage of pitching fresh, unique service and product also. We have some entrepreneurial opportunities in these times. Maybe we can buy a franchise, maybe we can fill a niche, maybe we can use some distributorship or dealership, we can have a licensing, and or also we can do network marketing, I think. We have top trends for the future entrepreneurship. Firstly, maybe defined by digital, agility and resilience and speed. The entire model of global entrepreneurship is evolving at speed. The future will be defined by digital. The World Economic Forum of Future Jobs finds rising demand skill such as active learning, stress, tolerance, and flexibility. We have already seen how companies that move quickly during the crisis had a strategic advantage over competitors. Today, people can work and buy goods from everywhere, from their home, also from their holiday, and also from very apart a place. And it is so possible to buy everything from everywhere. And the second one is any age of diverse entrepreneurship. In our increasingly connected world, access to technology enables startups from Ghana to Bangladesh, or maybe from Pakistan to Indonesia, and also Turkey, to participate on the same global stage as those in more developed countries. And the other one is location independent solutions. The pandemic times has created opportunities for entrepreneurs and changed how we all work, possibly for good. Future entrepreneurship will be defined by new solutions that work anywhere. Solutions independent of locations. Take healthcare, which has completely transformed in short period of time also. And what the future holds of startups. Firstly, client service will be significant barrier for most of new companies. Making critical social effects will be a fundamental factor. Tech new business will be currently grasp of artificial intelligence all the more unmistakably, working distantly or turn into practice. And new innovative and inventive imaginative approach to improve representative prosperity will be presented also. Versatility will turn into fundamental component for tech startup achievements. And also we have some challenging times faced by women entrepreneurs. Firstly, maybe we can non-availability of finance. Maybe we can feel some pressure of domestic responsibilities. We have maybe sometimes feel big in a big competition. We have some problems pertaining to expansion or diversification. We can have maybe feel less scope for diversification. We need more requirement to professional expertise. Maybe sometimes lack of guidance, direction, and governmental support is possible. Seasonal nature of employment and lack of reliable and fixed income is possible challenges. Other challenges come from government contracts, gender discrimination, burden of social expectations, balancing business and family life, and building supports all the better opportunities for women entrepreneurs. We should build resilience road across the entire tourism value chain. We should maximize the use of the technology in the tourism sector. We should promote sustainability. We should go green and foster partnership to enable tourism, and we should support sustainable development goals. And finally, I would like to finish my presentation with much appreciative words to my dear brother Abdul Wafi, and also my dear brother and Ashrifan, and my dear sister Mutmania. Thank you so much again, who was participate and listen to me.
Okay, you are as amazing as always, dear sister. And now you're talking about future of startup, future women entrepreneurship. You know, when you are talking about future women entrepreneurship, what's wrong with women? This is what I'm asking you about. Because when we are talking about women, I think we are talking about, you know, equality, gender, something like that. So my first question to you, I think it's quite interesting. Why should be women entrepreneurship, actually, in your opinion? Why must be women?
Yes. I feel sometimes we need more positive ideas to women, because we have hard conditions in our life. Being a mother, being a sister, being a daughter, sometimes can be not easy. We have some difficulties during in our life. In my country, also in another country, having a religion or Muslim or not, it is not related to our religion, or it is not related to our country. Women everywhere have some difficulties. So we have positive dimensions. We have positive discriminative to women firstly, because if we have women, if we have positive ideas and positive mentions mostly to women issues, our society can develop directly. I believe to that. So women is so important in our life.
Yeah, I know that women is so important in our life. Without women, man is nothing actually, right?
Yes.
And you know, your topic here actually, the point is you know, motivating women to be to be independent, right? To be strong, women, because becoming woman is not that easy.
Yes.
Because women should raise children, women should take care of everything, and women should do that. Okay.
So true.
I'm sorry. This is my little woman.
So sweet.
Yeah. Okay.
Much blessing.
Thank you, dear sisters. So you know, the point I got from you just now is about to be you know, women entrepreneurship. So you must have motivation, vision, confidence, and decision making, right? Okay.
Yes.
So from those, let's say for motivation, vision, confidence, decision here, is it should be in right position, or we can you know, which one come first? For example, motivation should be in the first, second vision, the third confident, decision making will be in the next, or we can, this is not really fixed position actually.
According to the studies, yes, according to studies, we can say that motivate is the most related issue than we creating a new job, or when we running a new business. Because if we not fully motivated, it is not important they are women or men. This job can be more effective and more sustainable also.
Okay, so you mean that motivation should be in the first, and the second is vision, the next confidence, or something like that. And before coming to the next presenter, I mean keynote speaker. So here is my last point. You know, probably this is about another country. I mean, Saudi Arabia with its Vision 2030 vision. You know, and you know, Saudi Arabia doesn't want to be dependent on oil anymore. So he will open many. You know, one of them is about tourism. Let's say. So how can you give comment to that? The 2030 vision of Saudi Arabia, that Saudi Arabia doesn't want to be dependent on oil. So Saudi Arabia wants to open a lot of, you know, a lot of, you know, income to have. So do you have any comment on that? Saudi Arabia 2030 vision, yes. So surely there. Yes, yes.
As I understand, truly, because I have some connection problems. Arabia's tourism potential, my evaluation. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah. That is one of the points. So Arabia wants to open more, you know, starts up something like that.
Yes, we have some opportunities in the tourism industry when we looking up to some, for example, different parts in the world. Maybe I have an example. Indonesia has a big opportunities when we're looking up the natural and historical beauties. So if I number to one of the most important destinations in the world, I can say Indonesia is one of the most attractive country and destination also. But you are very true for your opinion, because if we have some opportunities in the economy, we are also attractive places in a destination. For example, in Turkey, we are bridge from the Asia or Europe. So we have some opportunities for being a cross country in the world. So in also Arabia have some opportunities, for example, having oil, or for example, having some another important dimensions. So you are right, it is so directive part in a destination. If they have some big value and big remains in the tourism industry. You are so right, dear brother.
Okay, so I think you really support that. Nowadays there are many potentials to be developed in terms of tourism, right?
Yes, surely.
Okay, so that is one of you know, one of can be one of the field that women can do by developing entrepreneurship in tourism, and that's the point actually.
Yes,
okay,
surely.
Well, that is great, dear sister Dr. Alkal Bayram. So you're talking about future of startup, future women entrepreneurship, and you give motivation to all women all over the world to be independent women. You can do with your own. So you have to fight for your own life. You have to fight for your own family by becoming entrepreneur. Okay, yes. Great. Thank you very much, dear sister Dr. Alkal Bayram, for giving us a very fruitful presentation. Well, again, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we move to the last keynote speaker, Dr. Luis Miguel Cardoso from University of Lisbon. Dr. Luis, are you there?
Yes.
Doctor?
Hello, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Hello, how are you, doctor? So now here in my country is afternoon, so there is morning.
Yes, it's morning over here. It's
what time is it there?
8:44. a.m.
Oh my God. Yo, your morning actually there. So how are you there actually in Lisbon, Portugal?
Oh, fine. Thank you, my friend. How are
Fine.
you in Indonesia?
Yeah, we're fine here. It's sunny here. Everything is clear. No problem with cloud. Okay. Dr. Luis Miguel Cardoso here from University of Lisbon, Portugal. And in this point, you are going to talk about surely about language or education actually.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to start a small journey regarding education, skills, and some trends in research nowadays, because we are facing a lot of very interesting challenges in this 21st century. It's a very challenging time for us all, teachers and researchers. But first of all, I would like to thank the very kind invitation for being here. It's a great pleasure to be here, great honor to be here. And I would like to thank Dr. Musmaina for a very kind invitation. And of course, the invitation that was made by Dr. Andy Azarfan. And of course, I would like to thank our very kind moderator for the session today.
Yeah. Again, I'm so excited to enjoy your session, Dr. Luis Cardoso, and I give you time to have your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to share a small presentation that I prepared for today's conference. And the topic is a very broad topic, but I'm going to highlight just some key ideas regarding some trends in digital research and why digital research is changing our paradigms nowadays regarding what we were doing some years back, what we are doing now, and what we're going to do in the next years to come. So, my dear friends, I think we have all noticed that, of course, the world is changing very fast. And now we are in a post-COVID era that is giving us a lot of opportunities. Why should we address all this as opportunities, as challenges? Well, we have to be optimistic. We have been strong, we have been resilient. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, we have learned a lot about working together, about sharing best practices. And this conference is a great example of how people from different continents, from different countries can come together and share their ideas, share their approaches, and connect all these ideas in order to get on track with a new framework for the 21st century. And why do we need to stay in touch? Why do we need to work together? Why is it important that universities work together? Because nowadays, for example, we are talking about a lot of courses, a lot of degrees that did not exist just 10 years back. For example, new media, e-business, nanotechnology, 3D design, supply chain management, recycling technology, geomatics. So these degrees were all new 10 years back. Nowadays, they are common in our higher education institutions. They are common in our countries. They are common in our universities. But universities must adapt. Universities must be flexible, and they must adapt to what the labor market wants. And the labor market is also changing. So the employers need a new type of professional. The employers need a professional that can connect knowledge with values, with principles. And this is a great challenge for us all. It's a great challenge for our universities. because the challenge begins when we understand that the 21st century challenges are first of all connected with the 21st century learner. So this means, my dear colleagues and my dear friends, that the 21st century learner combines an engaged thinker, an entrepreneurial spirit, an ethical citizen. So these are three very important domains. And these include, of course, the master of a lot of literacies. And literacies are vital for us all, and they are vital for our students to get into the labor market. So this is why talking about collaboration and leadership, critical thinking and problem solving, creativity and innovation, lifelong learning, self-direction, personal management, digital literacy, very important indeed, communication, social responsibility, and culture, global and environmental awareness. These are domains that are vital for our universities to stay on track regarding the labor market, regarding what employers want, and also to keep on track regarding the ever-changing profile of our students. Because when we talk about our students, of course, we talk about what should we as teachers, as researchers, should give to our students, not just about knowledge, but first of all about skills. So let us try to understand what are the most important skills that we have today in 2022. And this is, of course, a portrait by the World Economic Forum. And this portrait highlights a list of skills that is growing and a list of skills that is declining. So the skills that are growing include analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, creativity, originality and initiative, technological design and programming, critical thinking and analysis, and this is vital. Complex problem solving, because our students must be flexible, they must be highly flexible. Leadership and social influence, emotional intelligence, reasoning, problem solving and ideation, systems analysis and evaluation. And then we have a list of other skills that are declining. And these include manual dexterity, endurance and precision, memory, verbal, auditory and spatial abilities, management of financial material resources, technology installation and maintenance, reading, writing, math and active listening, management of personnel, quality control and safety awareness, coordination and time management, visual, auditory and speech abilities, and of course, technology use, monitoring and control. So this means that we have a list of skills that is growing and a list of skills that is declining. This does not mean that the list of skills that is declining is going to disappear. This means that they are not so important when we compare 2022, for example, to the last century. So a lot of things have changed, and a lot of things have changed during the pandemic that hit us 2 years from now. And another idea that I would like to share and highlight is that our students are now quite different. Our students can be at the same time connected with different gadgets, with different tools, accessing internet, accessing music, using games, using their laptops, their smartphones, sometimes everything at the same time. Yeah, this is awesome. So this is why in our universities, we must adapt our curriculum to these new students. These students are very fond of gadgets, but they must be able to use those gadgets. They must be able to use technology with the help of literacies, like digital literacy, informational literacy, and this is our task. So according to UNESCO, and this is from a report that was published in 2017, the Kingdom Declaration that was thought by UNESCO in 2015 declares that to achieve the goals of inclusive, equitable, and quality education and lifelong learning by 2030, ICT-based teaching and learning needs to be integrated into all sectors of education. And this is, of course, extraordinarily important for all of our countries and for all of our educational systems. However, it also observes that on their own, just on their own, ICTs will not bring about the required transformation, and that there is a need for well-informed long-term policies and strategies, professional development, and well-researched and innovative methodologies for educational technology to play a central role in building inclusive and sustainable knowledge societies. So this is our goal, my dear colleagues and my dear friends, sustainable knowledge societies. How are we going to build these sustainable knowledge societies by 2030? So this is a common effort. This is an effort regarding networking. This is an effort regarding frameworks from UNESCO, for example, frameworks from the OECD. This is an effort connecting teaching, learning, and research. So everything must be put in place by integrating these three domains, teaching, learning, and researching, by using ECT and by using digital tools. So again, education, of course, needs to aim to do more than just prepare young people for the world of work. So what we as educators must do is to equip students with skills so they can be very active citizens. They have to be engaged citizens. So our mission in our universities is to prepare our students to be great professionals, to be great persons, and to be great citizens. So everything is connected nowadays. We must have an holistic approach regarding the profile of our students. So we need a broad range of skills. And these skills include cognitive and metacognitive skills, just like critical thinking and creative thinking, and learning to learn and self-regulation, empathy, self-efficacy and collaboration, new information and communication technological devices. So everything is in place to create this new approach. And to create this new approach, my dear colleagues and my dear friends, we need digital skills. So the question is, what is digital literacy and what are the most important digital literacy skills that are required nowadays? So digital literacy skills are the ability and know-how of digital skills in conjunction with critical thinking across the various digital platforms and devices. So having digital literacy skills means possessing a combination of digital skills, competence, knowledge, practical ability, research, digital learning, understanding, evaluation, interpretation, creation, and communication. So the area between digital skills and digital literacies is where digital literacy skills lie. Some examples regarding digital literacies and digital literacy skills include, of course, as we all know, app development, data analysis, analytics interpretation, deck presentation creation, digital communication, digital content creation, digital copywriting, information evaluation, photo visual literacy, search engine optimization, social media content management, and software creation. Of course, it is not easy to master all this. It is not easy to give our students all these examples of digital tools for them to master them all at 100%. But our task is to give them the possibility to know these apps, to know these digital tools, to know these devices, to know these digital resources, to understand them, and to know they exist and how they can be used, not just while they are students, but one day when they become professionals and when they enter the labor market. So this is why teaching, learning, and researching are all connected. And again, it's all about digital research nowadays, because digital research can be defined as the use of digital technologies that change the way research is carried out and make it possible to face new challenges in the area. So in our universities, my dear friends, digital research is a major trend nowadays. Digital research is focused on real needs from the real world. And this is why we must give our students the ability to understand what digital research is and how we can integrate digital research in our classrooms, for example. Because digital research skills include these 4 areas that I'm sharing right now: critical thinking, problem solving, analysis, and dissemination. So when we work with our students, these 4 areas, these 4 domains, we are giving them the opportunity to grow. We are giving them the opportunity to be up to date. We are giving them the opportunity to enter the labor market with very important tools to have successful careers, but also to be engaged citizens, as I said before. So these are skills that are important, and these are lessons that we have learned from the COVID-19 pandemic. We need citizens that can solve problems, that can be flexible. We need citizens to have critical thinking, who can select information, for example, who can act critically, who can have a great analysis capability. And then connecting these 3 areas, they must be able to have dissemination probabilities. So digital research is all about these keywords: accessing information, reusing, creating, analyzing, preserving, and publishing. So this is what we are doing nowadays with our students, of course. This is what we are doing now in our academia. This is what we are doing now in our universities. So this is a process that is connected with these great challenges that we have today in this 21st century. So regarding some major digital trends that I would like to highlight, for example, we could talk about networks and social media, mobile computing and mobile work, analytics and big data, the Internet of Things, IT consumerization, cloud computing, and safety. So these are top digital trends that are very important nowadays in our schools, in our universities, so that our students can be well prepared for their future. Of course, how can we, first of all, try to create a basis for all this? Well, my dear friends, we all know that nowadays students learn by practicing a lot. They like practice. Of course, theory is very important, but when we lead students by practicing, they are more engaged, they are more interested, and of course, we are bonded and connected with their expectations and what they truly believe in regarding universities and regarding their future. And for example, computers and the internet are natural contexts to practice, for example, language skills for real life tasks. So computers and internet are, of course, the basis for digital research. So this is why we must think about education. We must think about technology, and combining education and technology as our big priority in this century, our big priority for our governments, for our leaders, because our society needs education. Education is the basis for our future, my dear friends. So it's important to use instructional activities that provide both an opportunity to practice digital skills and strengthen the problem-solving process and place it in knowing what skill to use and when to use it. And computers and the internet offer endless opportunity for language learners to practice, for example, whether through online programs or completing real digital tasks, but not just about, we're not just talking about language learners, we're talking about the learners from different domains, of course. So meanwhile, higher language competencies open up more opportunities for students to practice their digital literacy skills. So, my dear friends, one of the most important conclusions that we can achieve so far is that these trends in our 21st century make us understand that teaching, learning, and research are connected. Second, students must be up to date and prepared for the labor market. And third, universities must give their students the possibility of combining knowledge, skills, values, and principles. And this will help our students to engage the huge challenges that we have today in our 21st century. So the main trends that we could highlight regarding digital research include the growing emphasis on large-scale, mass-critical research focused on real-world challenges, Of course, academia is connected with real world. Academia must be connected with real world. Universities must be connected with real world. And when universities and corporations and enterprises work together, they find solutions for problems that we have in real world. So this is why we must engage in networking with corporations, with the private sector, with the public sector, create study groups, multi-institutional, multidisciplinary, often international study groups to address problems and to solve problems. And a strong emphasis on research impact, which will have a greater need to collect evidence and stronger partnerships and broad social impact promotions. So research is also about having social impact as well, because research must be aligned, must be on track to what our community needs. Research must be connected with our country needs, with what our continents need, what we all need to go ahead, because we have similar problems, because we have similar difficulties. So this is why we have to join forces. This is why we have to debate ideas. This is why conferences like this one are very, very, very important, because we are connecting from different countries and we are sharing opportunities to contribute to a better future for us all. So the consolidation of research equipment into large regional, national, and international shared research centers and facilities, and the need to manage sharing effectively is another of our great challenges. So this means that we have to work in our regions, in our countries, but also in an international level. So, and when we connect these three levels, we have a complete portrait of what we truly need and what we truly desire regarding what are the major trends of this century about teaching, about learning, about research. And of course, the major trends that we must follow regarding our students' expectations. And other research trends also gave a lot of emphasis on transparency, on measurements and metrics, on in silico digital approaches to research. This is why we must have digital simulation and modeling and data analysis drive research. So when we connect transparency with measurements and metrics and digital simulation, these are other very important trends in our academia today. So this is why we have to have good research centers, very good laboratories in our universities to provide our students with these experimentation platforms, and to give our students the opportunity to work together in teams to solve problems, for example. This is why everything is connected with innovation methodologies, with pedagogical approaches and new pedagogical approaches. For example, this is why gamification, this is why simulation, this is why artificial intelligence, this is why virtual reality, this is why the flipped classroom are so important nowadays, because these are mechanisms that can help us to create a new environment in our classrooms. And of course, I'm going to summarize these top digital trends just to say a few words regarding each one of them. So we could address the importance of networks in social media, mobile computing and mobile work, analytics and big data, the Internet of Things, IT consumerization, cloud computing, and safety. We already talked about this. And of course, when we connect all these trends, then we reach our destination regarding this small journey that I shared with you, dear colleagues and dear friends. And what are our main conclusions? First conclusion, 21st century challenges are complex. 21st century challenges are huge and demand a lot from us, teachers, researchers, and demand a lot from our universities. So why do we need to collaborate? Why do we need to create networking? Because we have a new learner. Because we have a new learner with a lot of different expectations and characteristics. And this new learner is common in our countries. Why do we also have to think and rethink about education and skills? Because the labor market wants us to think about the new skills that are required today, soft skills, social skills, not just the hard skills, but the skills that are needed to be used in a flexible way by our students. So then we have to connect teaching and researching. So these are two areas that cannot be separated. They are together. Because when we research, we can collect data and we can give new approaches in our teaching methodologies. So new types of research mean that we have new types of teaching. We have new types of pedagogical approaches. And digital research is now the basis for all this. And digital research is now the basis for our future. So, my dear colleagues and my dear friends, I would like to end this presentation by saying that is with conferences like this one, that we can move on and we can be optimistic regarding the 21st century. We can be optimistic because we have a lot of very good practices in different countries that we can share. We can be optimistic because education cannot stop, as the UN and UNESCO have said during the COVID-19 pandemic. Education cannot stop, and education is our common goal. So if we put education as our #1 goal, I think we have the basis for a better society, for a better country, and for a better world. And of course, we all want the best for our students. And for our students to have the best, we need teachers to have the best. So teacher training programs are also very important. So these are some ideas that I would like to share today with you, dear colleagues and dear friends. So thanks a lot for listening to me. And of course, if you have questions, I would be delighted to answer them. So thanks again for inviting me. Thanks again for your time. And again, congratulations to the organizing committee.
Okay, good. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Luis Miguel Cardoso from University of Lisbon, Portugal. Intentionally, I offer you a flexible time that you may share everything from you because this is so fruitful. And ladies and gentlemen, because we are out of our time, so if you have got questions, so you can write down in the chat box, or you may write down in email of Dr. Luis Miguel Cardoso. Okay, I think that's it. Dr. Luis, again, thank you very much. We would like to move on to the next speaker, and it will be led by Mrs. Santiana from Chilibang University.
Thank you, Professor Ruiz. Thank you. Really.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Would you like
See you soon, my dear friends.
Would you like to share your LinkedIn or email, Prof? Maybe some participant will send maybe question. Or... Thank you, Professor.
Absolutely, with great pleasure. Thank you.
And dear participant, we don't prepare attendance list for this conference. Just make sure that yourself or was registered on the conference link, and the committee will send the certificate automatically to your registered email as the appreciation. And thank you so much for being active in this conference for yesterday. We start yesterday until today. I give place to Miss Santiana to lead the screen. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'du. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon from Indonesia. Let's continue our agenda today at the second International Conference on Education, Technology and Social Sciences 2022 with the theme Multidisciplinary Approach to Research. It's held collaboratively by Potala Palal Foundation, Indonesian Education Sector Volunteers, Universitas Al-Azhar Mandar, Universitas Muhammadiyah Sideneng Rapang, IAIN Madura, Universitas Giliwangi, IAIN Loksmawe, and State Universities of Makassar, Indonesia. Allow me, Eva Santiana, as the moderator now. And we have the Associate Professor Dr. Verghese here from Chris College, Irijalakuda, Kerala, India. Prof, are you here? All right. Before his starting the presentation, allow me to read his curriculum vitae. Dr. Verghese, ME, PhD, PED, PhD, is an associate professor of English at Chris College, Irijalakuda, affiliated to the Universities of Calicut, Kerala, India. He is an MA in English language and literature and has a degree in education. His doctoral degree is in English language teaching through information communication technology, or ICT. He has 2 postgraduate diploma to his credit, one in journalism and the other one is in English language teaching. He has presented paper in national and international seminar in India and abroad and published papers in international research journal. He is also a research person for conference on ICT applied language teaching, and he is a visiting faculty to state and conference on ICT applied language teaching. He is an advisor and consultant of Digital Language Lab. He was the chairman of Board of Studies in Functional English at the Universities of Calicut and a member of faculties of language and literature. He is a member of doctoral communities in several universities and PhD educators in 5 universities in India. His areas of interest are technology in education, NLP, and language technology. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before starting the presentation, I'd like to inform you about the rules of the presentation. The first, the invited speaker, we have a maximum 25 minutes for the presentation. And second is question and answer session will be done after keynote speaker presented the paper. And third, every audience can drop the questions, or you can also directly deliver the question by raising your hand virtually. And I will mention or read the question to be answered. And please, every audience to mute the microphone during the presentation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's invite our last invited speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Verghese from Chris College, Irijalakuda, Kerala, India. The Zoom floor is yours. Professor, are you here? Can you hear my voice?
Hello, Professor Verghese.
Professor Verghese, are you here? Am I audible, Dr. Andi?
Yes, jelas
Okay.
sekali. Very clear.
Tunggu saya telepon.
Baik.
Dia ada visitasi sebenarnya, visitasi akreditasi beliau.
So this is the last presentation ya. The last.
Yeah, yes, the last.
Joining in 3 minutes. Wait him.
All right. We're waiting for him to join. In 3 minutes.
So participant just make sure that kindly register yourself on the conference link that we have shared before on the group and also on social media. So we don't prepare any attendance list for this conference, but just make sure that yourself was registered on the conference link. So the committee will send the certificate automatically to your registered email as our highest appreciation to you all.
Oke. Apa tidak diputarkan dulu apa gitu, Dan?
Ya boleh diputarkan dulu.
Maybe traditional dance or whatever. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, Professor Regis.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Are
Hope
you
I'm
ready?
audible. Yes,
yes. It's very clear, Prof. All right. Your time is 20 minutes for presentation, Prof. Please manage your time.
Right.
Thank you.
Sure.
This your Prof. Is yours.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much. And I was in fact in a very busy schedule, but when it is demanded by Auntie and Mina, I cannot just stop. Okay, so at the outset, I want to congratulate the organizers of this wonderful two-day international conference. And both Auntie and Mina are very close to my heart. So I couldn't, in fact, talk to the audience yesterday. I was very busy because our college was undergoing an autonomy inspection where I had to be there full time. Even now it is going on, but I thought of just speaking to you all, addressing you all, because the request, of course, came from my dear friend, close friend, Andy Asifran, and with mine, both are the organizers of this great conference. And at the outset, I would say this particular conference, especially the multidisciplinary research in this scenario, especially in the 21st century, is of great importance. Multidisciplinarity is the order of the day. And at this point, when organizers of this great conference take a decision to inviting people from all over the world to listen to them, especially getting the best speakers possible, I must congratulate everyone. And here, what I'm going to do is to speak something general. See, we are going through a very difficult situation, pandemic, we all know. And now we are slowly getting back to the old normal. We were all in the new normal, and we are slowly getting back to the old normal. Naturally, but things have changed. The pandemic have caused a big change as far as education is concerned, technology is concerned, and the plight of social sciences are concerned. So here, when we think of multidisciplinary research, what I would like to tell you, or what I would like to address the audience, is about the changes that have come over because of this pandemic era. Last 2 years, and we are slowly recovering. As far as India is concerned, everything is turning to normal. We have started our normal in offline classes, but whatever changes that have been introduced during the pandemic, let me tell you, is going to stay, because this great way, the hybrid mode of teaching. And also, as far as India is concerned, the largest educational agency, UGC, University Grants Commission, has changed. As far as the curriculum is concerned, they have started in 60% offline classes and 40% online classes. That's what I said. This is going to stay. The changes that have been introduced because of the pandemic are going to stay. I would say we were in a VUCA situation, and VUCA, in fact, was in action during the pandemic. And we have come across many difficulties. So my presentation here would be just a reflection over all these. And then naturally, the change of mindset we have undergone, where we will be working together. Okay, from all nations. See, I became friends with all these great speakers because of the pandemic. I don't know otherwise whether we would come in touch. Yeah, of course, we had a lot of conferences going on, but we came very close because of this pandemic. So pandemic had its own benefits, I should say, where bringing the world together. The scholastic world is now on a single platform addressing what should happen next, or how our education or technology integration should go. With these short words, let me enter my presentation. Hope you have made me co-host so that I can share my screen. Yes. I think it's visible, ma'am. It's visible?
Yes, Prof. Go ahead.
Yes. One second. Yes. So it's in the slideshow mode. Dear friends, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the whole world. So we are here thinking of a bright future ahead through digital transformation of education. And we, of course, are in a post-COVID era. And what are the changes that have come over as far as education is concerned? And how can we do maybe a better research in a world of new normal way? Many of us were introduced to these different platforms, ICT tools, etc. So education, as we all know, is a process of facilitating learning, acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, beliefs, and habits. We all know that. Digital transformation means an organization's core business to better meet customer needs. Of course, we were in the pandemic situation, and we often say teaching is reaching. But we were finding it very difficult to reach our students. But then came both synchronous and asynchronous platforms, where through which we reached our students and taught them well. So that is the meaning of core business, is to better meet customer needs by leveraging technology and data in education. That target customer, of course, are students, and then, of course, the faculty, staff, alumni, parents, and others. So a digital transformation of education has taken place. This may be a graphic description of people, students, teachers entering from physical to digital. And this digital transformation include, see, there's a big change as far as student experience and teacher experience are concerned. We started recruiting students digitally through social media messaging and data-driven process. And we also started students registering via their mobile phones, unscalable cloud-based information systems. And a variety of online learning options were given to students. And for the first time, maybe students saw that teacher is just one source of information. There are a lot of other sources of information which they can explore and better equip themselves to meet the challenges of the world. And then working with faculty programs to convert courses into flipped and blended models. Okay, flipped classrooms were very common in our discussions, especially in among the educators. But I don't know whether they have been used very effectively. But most of our teachers know how to use, these kind of online platforms, so that we can facilitate flipped classrooms and blended models, using technology to monitor student progress and success metrics and execute intervention protocols, partnering with industry to provide digital badges and certificates to enhance career opportunities. So many differences. And now ICT in education. What exactly is ICT in education? I think when we speak of education, it consists of teaching, learning, assessment, professional development, administration, and collaboration. And when we think of ICT in education, this slide is self-explanatory. As far as teaching and learning process is concerned, we are depending on a lot of ICT tools, a lot of ICT programs, a lot of intervention protocols, assessment, and nowhere before in this world that assessment was so much done through these kind of different e-portfolios, polling, wikis, learning management systems, etc. And professional development. And my dear friends, we have now engaged in the professional development process, an international conference way. We have a lot of digital publications. And I'm happy to say that this collaboration with Indonesian and my dear friends all over the world, a lot of publications, digital publications have come out. A lot of outlaws and teaching, what do you call, e-portfolios, ICT online groups, so many professional development programs, all because of blending technology in education. Then administration. We have gone very much in French. Then collaborating. See, nowadays MOUs, the number of MOUs have been signed, and I'm very happy to announce that we have an MOU with the Uniro University where international credit transfer is taking place. See, the students from Indonesia are now taking courses from Christ College. Very happy to be, because that all because of MOU signed between all this. So such a kind of, and research, for example, see, we are doing researches. Both my friends, two friends in Indonesia, very close friends, and other friends, we are doing a lot of work together, all because of this technology. So research has become very possible and easy because of the technology uses, and multidisciplinarity we have. For example, education. For example, my area is ELT. ELT is, of course, a multidisciplinary area where education is involved. Education is there, psychology is there, and of course, sociology is there. So many linguistics, applied linguistics is there. So naturally, all this is possible, and we can reach everyone because of all this. And if I were to be asked who led the digital transformation of education, these are the great agencies, educational agencies, but it's not UGC, it's not Ministry of Human Resources, but it is COVID-19, which accelerated this digital transformation of education. Now, let's see the positive outlooks. Now, the negative influences, I think we not think seriously about. The positive outlook, what has this pandemic taught us? See, it has taught us, the pandemic, COVID-19 has taught us, and it opened a lot of new avenues in the field of education. And it paved the way for learning new resources. And it gave the opportunity to experience new technology interventions. I think we are experiencing all this. It enabled learning of new skills, reinforcing the need to continuous learning. Okay, because learning means it's continuous learning, lifelong learning. And if you want to engage yourself in lifelong learning, you need to get the assistance of technology, the latest technologies, and creating a totally new education vertical. These are the positive outlooks of the pandemic, which we are employing it in our teaching learning process, in our education process, and this is going to stay. And negative influences are nowadays, we can easily forget it, because we are looking forward to a better tomorrow where teaching learning process with the technologies would benefit maximum to our students. And there were also certain doubts regarding ineffectiveness of virtual classrooms. I think it's all done away with, because most of our students and teachers had this teacher-taught mindset. They thought that teaching learning process can only take place in the classroom. So things have changed. Limitations in interactions, okay, we were complaining about that. Absence of community feeling, class atmosphere, but things have changed. Sense of isolation was there, okay, but it all taught us a lot of new things. Unconducive home environment, I'm sure. Challenges of technical glitches, like, see, I'm sure that we are all from developing countries. Of course, there may be participants from developed countries, but most of us, maybe like India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, all are developing countries. So naturally, there were problems with bandwidth, laptop, desktop accessibility, and inadequacy of resources, a lot of things, right? Even weather and situations and power situations used to affect us. Lack of individual attention was there. Teacher, learner responsiveness, and computer fatigue. Maybe this for the first time that students and teachers spent a lot of time in front of the screen. And there was also content conflict. When one after another the content came, there was content conflict, but we all managed quite well there. Okay, and we prepared our students for the change, and also the teachers to induction programs. These are gone are those days where we were doing all this. Now it has become normal. Okay, everything is normalized. Use of even ICTs are normalized. Do not force, and create student familiarity by facilitating face-to-face. So there were a lot of things that we did, maybe. And the earlier, what happened in our traditional classrooms, fire and forget was changed into guide and mentor. Okay, otherwise we go to the class and just tell them what we all know, what we have already prepared, and that was the end of everything. Now everything is recorded. Students can come back and learn things more, okay, because it is there. It's all because of technology. So we have asked, teachers have started guiding and mentoring there rather than just firing and forgetting. And there is big and the changes that have come over to our students, which is going to stay. And let me tell you, there's a big shift from knowledge. The teacher's role was limited to a knowledge transmitter, a primary source of information in our traditional classes, and where we addressed only Bloom's, in the Bloom's taxonomy, maybe the first, just data transfer or information transfer you are engaging. But this pandemic has taught us to make, change ourselves, educators, into learning facilitators, collaborators, coaches, knowledge navigators, and co-learners. Okay, so we were just dwelling in the thinking domain, in the cognitive domain. From there, we started dwelling in the psychomotor domain, the affective domain, because a coach, a facilitator, a collaborator would be like that. And then the teacher controlling and directing aspects of learning. See, whatever innovations we introduced in the traditional classroom, teacher was at the center. I'm sure teacher, because whatever, even the latest modes of teaching, to a certain extent, though it was there in the books, in the theories, but once we go to the class, it became a teacher-centered classroom. But things have changed to a certain extent now. Okay, in say teacher controlling and directing all aspects of learning, see, a lot of responsibilities were shifted to students, and it is becoming student-centered or learner-centered. Teacher giving students more options and responsibilities for their own learning, and that's how we started creating reflective students who are reflective. Students who are, oriented, self-oriented, students who are self-directed. There's a big change which came over to our teaching learning community now. And now this is a paradigm shift. Maybe see teacher, learner at the center, and see a lot of different sources of information. Teacher, the instructor is very important for the emotional touch he or she gives. So instructor is very important, but at the same time, see the different sources of information, and it is the duty of the instructor to introduce students to all these different, sources of information, and to, make them, and to make research possible for them. So research here is, see, we have been listening to a few speakers before, where they were talking about how, when technology, I think the integration of technology, okay, in education, it's a winning combination. So naturally, students in a position is to do their research better when you integrate technology. And that also leads to a kind of interdisciplinarity in research. And this is Bloom's taxonomy, which I used to often say in simple words. So you can speak hours on flipped classrooms, but maybe for the beginners to understand what exactly happened in our traditional classrooms, it was limited to a certain extent to what do you call remembering and understanding, because most of our testing depended on remembering and understanding. They tested or they examined only this, and often the applying, analyzing, evaluating, creating were to be done outside the classroom, which often was not done. But that's not the case. See, when flipped classrooms came, when during the pandemic, when we had online classes at the same time offline classes, so there was a reversal of this, and naturally outside the classroom we had in the classroom. Outside the classroom, maybe online in the synchronous or asynchronous way, we taught them to remember and understand. The lessons were given, and maybe the few days that they came to the college, we taught the university, we made use of the time for applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating the knowledge. So this has been a paradigm shift, I should say, in teaching learning process, which is going to stay in the coming days. And then another thing, I don't know, most of our teachers have this TPAC knowledge, technological, pedagogical, content knowledge. And I'm sure our teachers are very good in content knowledge, because we study maybe from our LKG, our pre-primary classes onwards, and do our PhD and postdoc. Naturally, content knowledge is strong. And pedagogical knowledge, most of our teachers undergo teacher training and such educational programs to get the pedagogical knowledge. But the technological knowledge, because our students are digital natives. Most of our students are digital natives at their best. And many of us may be a bit old, maybe finding it a bit difficult because we are digital immigrants. And those digital immigrants, whoever are there, will have to better their technological knowledge. And naturally, when the TPAC, see the center, the TPAC, this is complete. The technological, pedagogical content knowledge is complete. Naturally, you become a 21st century teacher. So these are some of the things. Maybe it's a funny way of presenting it, but see the 21st century, the skill sets for 21st century, building a new paradigm, web access, creative publishing, information management, thinking pedagogy, learning environment. So naturally, teacher of this century should be equipped like this. Should be equipped like this to face the challenges, because the students who are sitting or standing in front of us are 100% digital natives. Maybe some of them are better than teachers as far as technology is concerned. But at the same time, if we initiate them through, but they use the technology for chatting, for playing games, and for entertainment purpose. But if you can enter this, or if you can take this entertainment element to our teaching learning process, altogether, I think miracles will happen, wonders will happen in the classrooms as far as teaching and learning is concerned. But all because of this pandemic, we came very close to technology and we have started implementing it in our classrooms. But one thing I would like to remind you, it doesn't matter how many resources you have, if you don't know how to use them, it will be never enough. Okay, so the resources are quite important. But at the same time, we should know how to use them. So there's no use running after a lot of ICT tools and programs, but we should learn ourselves. We should understand what are the major tools which we can use effectively in our classroom. Learn them, explore them, research on them, and come out with wonderful results. So that's what I would like to tell every my fellow educators, my dear students. Using technology successfully in the classroom is a mindset, not a skill set. Skill set will follow 100%, but see, we should have that mindset. And I think the pandemic has helped a lot to creating this mindset that technology can be effectively used. ICTs can be effectively used in the teaching learning process, because our students cannot do without it, because they are digital natives. Those digital natives, because we cannot teach our students the way we were taught. We were taught in a different way. Things have changed. And see, in every walks of life, all over the world, technology is being used very effectively for the benefits of the society. And we teachers and we educators should be using it very effectively. And we should explore more, I would say, to find out the right technology for the right subject, for the right classroom environment. And so it all starts with our mindset. So mindset is quite important. So I used to see the successful implementation of ICT, so technology in education lies not in hardware or software, but in human way. And what is this human way? Teachers, individual teachers' ability to plan, design, implement, and evaluate effective pedagogical uses of new technologies. And find it now. Okay. And I think my friends, Maina and Professor Andy Slifran are very good at it. Because when maybe in the first wave, when we started that wonderful seminar, and all of you from India, I still remember how you people, in fact, motivated our teachers and students with the technology interventions. I still remember that. And they used to tell me. So though these days I'm very busy in the college, I thought of being with you, maybe as a last speaker. So I wish everyone smart teaching and learning, and in the world of interdisciplinary studies and interdisciplinary research, let's all put our hands together, put our heads together for a better tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my dear professor.
Thank you,
really great.
Professor.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Dear all, please give applause to him for a very great insight. And I would highlight what is his presentation is related to the digital transformations of education in post-COVID era. And then he also stated about the impacts of ICT on teaching and learning, from a shift from to a learning facilitator, collaborator, coach, knowledge navigator, and so on and so forth. And also he highlighted about the Bloom taxonomy in the traditional way and also in flipped classroom. And the last, he also delivered that the successful implementation of ICT in education lies not in the hardware or software, but in humanware. So we as a human also need to be professional. And then the teacher here, the ability to plan, to design, and to choose the appropriate way, for example, learning management system to implement and evaluate effective pedagogical use of a new technology. All right, it's very good insight, Prof. And I would like to invite the audience to deliver the question. You can drop your question in a chat box, or you can deliver it directed a question directly to the Prof guest. I try to find the audience who are already raising the hand. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. I don't find any question here. I do believe it could be really clear. Maybe Dr. Andy will deliver something, the questions of I think what the topic is very current now, and we also in the digital era, as the Professor Dr. Verghese stated. So this very common now in our daily life. So I would like to invite once again to the audience who wants to deliver the questions. Okay.
I think
it's very
late
very
evening in Indonesia, maybe. Right? I'm yet to take my lunch, but I think you have taken your lunch 3 or 4 hours back. I understand.
But then I do believe that because your presentation is very clear, so that there is no question. So in the positive way, we really like your presentation and in your great insight related to the technology. So dear audience, please once again give him applause virtually. Okay.
Thank you.
Prof, there are some university also in Indonesia.
Thank you, Professor.
And a plan about the MOU and transfer credit, like the last year, our college di
PGRI Tonggolango.
PGRI University of PGRI. So maybe we as some leader we contact you, and then
not only that, sir, because we are very happy, our principal is happy, management is happy, because we were having, yesterday and today we are having inspection. Today I'm in the middle of that. I took some time to be with you, and there, let me tell you, they were highly appreciating this credit transfer. And they were really,
thank you.
See, so so we would like that, and when things are normal, I think we can have also teacher-student exchange program. We are happy, and I can announce, principal have asked me to tell you that even students who are coming here, maybe the fees can be, the fee can be waived. We don't even take sometimes fees from your students if you're ready to come here, because we can manage without that. Okay.
Wow,
so we are
thank you so much.
Wonderful, Prof.
There's a promise which we can give you at the right point.
Thank you so much,
thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Andi, because I didn't find any questions. So,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen, from the first to the last program, we have done fluently, and we would like to say thank you all to all keynote speaker, to invite the speaker and also the audiences for participation in this conference. Hopefully, all the presentation will give benefit for us. And now we come to the closing session. I'm Eva Santiana from the deepest of my heart as the moderator. Today, we'd like to express my apology for the inconvenience during the session. And on behalf of the committee, I would like to thank you all for making time to join us here today. I wish you all the pleasant day. And then it is time for me to say goodbye. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I would like to say that don't forget to join our international conference tomorrow entitled Mega Lecture Talk, Strengthening Moderation and Innovation in Rapid Digital Transformation for Society, Era 5.0, which is held by Language Centers of IAIN Madura. Okay. We invite you all the audiences to come to join with our conference. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much. Thank you, Madi Professor. Goodbye. See you on the next section. Thank you.
Atau gimana Kak?
Tidak
diingatkan ini Kak batas itunya, full papernya untuk book chapter?
Sudah lengkap semua.